My ex-husband had an affair with my sister, and my mother covered them up. 6 years later, they still intentionally bother me by an email. I, 33, met my ex-husband Dan, 40, at a restaurant about 15 years ago, when I was celebrating my 18th birthday. He was very kind, charming, and mature. He made me feel appreciated and unique. To provide backdrop, I grew raised in a troubled family. My mother and father were often fighting. My father would sometimes go off and not return for months. He passed away when my sister Abby, 25, was born. Since Abby's birth, my mother has been far more fond of her than of me. My mother basically babied Abby. She never neglected me. She always tried her best as a mother and provided for me, but I always felt like something was missing. I didn't feel like I was missing anything after Dan entered my life. He was supportive and loving, constantly buying me gifts and taking me on long drives. I felt entire when I was with him. We got married after 4 years of dating. I intended to start a kid straight away, but Dan encouraged me to get my master's degree and helped me advance my profession. He wanted us to be in a stable financial situation before we considered having children. Seriously, he was the best guy I could have asked for. After 5 years of happy marriage, I found out that my husband was cheating on me with Abby. I uncovered the affair when my husband pretended to travel out of town for a week, but instead stayed in town and booked a hotel room for him and Abby to have sex. This had been going on for 6 months without my knowledge. I was truly devastated. Abby and I were close growing up. I loved and cared for her. How could she have done this to me? Dan and I fought after the D-Day. I wondered how he could do this to me, especially with my sister, who had just turned 19. He stated he didn't love me anymore, that I didn't give him enough attention, and that I wasn't the same person he fell for. In the midst of this chaos, I realized I was pregnant, but I miscarried due to stress. When I lost our child, he didn't even come to visit me at the hospital. He was on a weekend getaway with my sister. I should have noticed the indications. Abby was always touchy with Dan. Dan would occasionally stare at her, but it was still quite unsettling to me. My mother, as usual, supported Abby and advised me to accept the situation. I wanted to kill myself because I didn't have anyone left. I lost my child, spouse, and entire family. Then Tina, my dearest friend and savior, came to my rescue. She was moving to another state and wanted me to accompany her. I said yes. I was already divorced at the time, and we lived in a tiny town, so I would inevitably run into my ex and sister. It took me a time to adjust to my new life in a different state, but I met some nice individuals there. It assisted me in overcoming some traumatic experiences. I still have trust difficulties. I met my now husband Tony, 32 MN, after a year of living in the new town. I was very hesitant and kept my guard up, but he proved to me that he is trustworthy and genuinely loves me. I was so happy with him that I almost forgot about my life back home. His parents were quite warm and generous individuals. We got married 1 year ago. I am currently expecting with our first child. Yesterday, I received an email from my ex, Dan. It just brought back all of the awful memories. I'm just paraphrasing his email. He said he misses me. He tried, but couldn't find me. He is quite unhappy with my sister. She is stupid and does not care about him as much as I do. I used to bake him a cake and organize him birthday parties, but Abby merely texted him a happy birthday and didn't even buy him a cake. Furthermore, she is really rude. She does not respect him. She's always in the bar with her friends. He also said that she had cheated on him 5 times before. His last affair was with a cousin. Our mother also does not stop her. He is about to file for divorce, but he has been missing me a lot lately. He wants us to try again as a couple. He wants us to reunite as a family like we once were. Because I do not use social media except for Instagram, which is private, he is unlikely to be aware that I am married and expecting a child. I'm not sure whether I should feel sorry for him or just laugh because the grass on his side is really brown rather than green. Update. I just wanted to thank everyone who messaged me and expressed their support. I decided to send him an email and be done with it. It goes like this. Dan, I'm sad to hear you're suffering, but I wouldn't be with. Yes, there was a moment when I would have gladly accepted you back, but that girl is no longer with us. That girl died the day I miscarried while you were away shacking up with my sister. I called you, but you never answered. I am married to a great man who adores and cherishes me. I'm also expecting with our first child. I am starting this new chapter of my life with someone I adore and care greatly about. Please do not contact me ever again. You've made your choice. You prioritized my barely legal sister over me. I don't care whether she cheats on you or disrespects you. Someone like you does not deserve loyalty or respect. Anyway, I've left my previous life in my hometown. It is best that you move on and do some self-reflection. You are simply a highly insecure man who is getting older and believes that having a young woman at your side would be beneficial. Goodbye. Update 2.03 March. A number of you have asked me what he said. He responded within an hour of my emailing him. He stated he was naive enough to think I'd still wait for him. He promised to always wait for me because, no matter what, I'll always be his baby doll. I really cringed. He used to call me that, but it now makes me feel repulsed. I also received an email from my mother and sister. My mother congratulated me and expressed her excitement about being a grandmother, and my sister agreed, saying she would be the cool aunt. I can't believe these people. They forgot how they treated me when I needed them and then deceived me. I cried for a long time because after reading your remarks, it appears like the man groomed my sister and myself. I feel so dumb. I know I shouldn't be upset with my sister, but she was old enough to understand the consequences of having an affair with a married guy, especially one who is your sister's spouse. I blocked them all. I'm 5 months pregnant already. I don't need any more stress. God bless my hubby. He consoled me as I cried and then took me out for ice cream. I hope I can get past this. Update. I've cooled down. I believe I can provide a more thorough update. Thank you to everyone who has showed their support. I needed it. The email from him, my ex, hit me like a train. I got flashbacks of all he'd done to me. I believe you deserve a full update. After I sent him the reply email, he emailed me within an hour with the information I provided in my Update 2 section. A few hours later, I received 2 additional emails from my mother and sister. They were sent to my old email address, which I barely use anymore. I'm not sure how they knew about my pregnancy. I attempt to maintain a modest profile. I still haven't shared any baby bump photos on social media or made any announcements. I simply had Instagram to follow my pals, but it worried me. Right there, I burst into tears. Luckily, my husband Tony was present. He grabbed me and sat me down on the couch. He knows everything about me. I never hid anything from him. I was a little worried that my mother and sister would find me. He told me that I was hundreds of kilometers away from them. I mean, we're on the opposite side of the nation. He brought me out for ice cream to console me. It took 2 ice cream cones to finally relax me, LOL. I informed him of my anxieties and that my mother and sister might demand to see my kid, a girl. He assured me he would notify his uncle, a police officer, to be on the watch for them. Even if they come here and force themselves on me, he will fight for it. He is going to see his lawyer acquaintance on this problem and has urged me not to worry about my ex. He can't damage me anymore. My husband even joked about moving nations if he had to. Finally, someone in my post suggested that I notify the daycare about my mother and sister in case they attempted to abduct my baby. We are not going to enroll her in childcare. Despite the fact that I am now employed, I opted to leave my job to care for my kid and focus on my postpartum recovery. I do have a significant amount of savings in my own bank, and this is entirely my decision. I will return to work once our little princess is a little older. My in-laws are great. My Mael and Fael live nearby. They are both nice ladies who offered to help with my child. Also, don't worry. Aside from my in-laws, I have a strong support system. Tina and her wife Jenny practically adopted me, LOL. They are incredibly nice people who have always assisted me. I'm not sure what will happen in the future, but at least I'm surrounded by wonderful people, which I didn't have growing up. Now I'm going to depart and enjoy my spouse treating me. If something big happens, I'll keep you posted. My ex, sister, and mother are all blocked. There have been no updates since.